Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, Iyun Mitzion. Today I want to analyze Masechah Shabbos, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Hay. Mishnah Hay talks about Kli Rishon and Kli Sheni. It basically states Kli Sheni Einam Avasha, which is the halacha. They accept the halacha, Mekaradin. That a secondary Kli, if you have a pot of soup, and you take from the pot of soup and you put it in a bowl, right? It's Kli Sheni. Kli Rishon is the pot of soup on the fire. And you take it off the fire and you put it in a bowl to serve it. So that's klisheni, and you're allowed to put spices in there. You're allowed to put croutons. Croutons you're allowed to put even in the kli rishon because presumably they're already cooked already, they're fried. So it's probably okay to put it already in the pot of soup once you took it off the fire. However, the klisheni enom avasha, you put whatever you want in there. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't cook it. Now the question is, why doesn't it cook it? Right? A second ago it was really hot on the fire, and right, I poured it from the pot. I took a ladle. Took a ladle, put it in the pot. I took with the ladle, I put it in a bowl. It's the same temperature. Did it really cool off that much? Not really. It did. It's the same temperature. You can measure. You can put a thermometer in there. It's the same temperature. So if it's cooking in Kli Rishon, it's going to cook in Kli Sheni also. The same thing. All right. So what's the difference? Why is Kli Rishon mavashal? Kli Sheni ain't mavashal. Doesn't make any sense. Tosos Masechah Shabbos says this famous answer that dofnos miskaros. You put it in a new bowl. It cools it down somehow miraculously. Now the problem is right? You take a thermometer. If you'd be allowed to use electrical thermometer, or there's thermometers you can use on Shabbos. Put a thermometer, it's the same temperature. So the practice is the same temperature. So it's mavash on the Kli Rishon, it's mavash on the Kli Sheni. So my answer is like this: that again, mavash al bishul. There's two types of bishul. Bishul is the idea of bishul is you cook food so it'll taste better, so it's edible. Sometimes the food is inedible if you cook it. Sometimes it's edible, but you want to make it better. The point of cooking something is to make it more palatable to your taste buds, to make it enjoyable. And the Mishnayos are telling you something about gourmet food over here. This is why it's so important to have derech eretz kadmol Torah. If you don't know anything about the world and you're just a person who eats whatever food they'll serve you in yeshiva for lunch, you don't really care about food, and you're not into gourmet food, so you don't realize these nuances and differences in foods. However, there's a big difference between putting spices in a Kli Rishon or putting in a Kli Sheni, right? For example, a practical example, for lunch a lot of times my wife will make pizza pitas. Now, pizza pitas are a pita, and you take some sauce, some ketchup, and you put some cheese on it. Not so complicated. Then you can put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, a minute and a half. Now, usually I like to put basil on, dried basil. I don't have fresh basil, but dried basil on the pizza pizzas because I like my pizza with basil. I think that's the original spice when they made pizza, Neapolitan pizza. That's why Italy's flag is green, because they have the basil, right? It's red, white, and green. Red for the sauce, white for the cheese, green for the basil. That's Italy's flag. So, so you put the basil on it. So it depends. If I put the basil on and then I put it in the microwave to cook it with the cheese, that's a whole different taste than if I put it in the microwave. It's boiling hot, it comes out of the microwave, and they put the basil on top, right? It tastes very different if it's boiled, if it's cooked with the basil, or I put the basil on afterwards, right? There's a big difference in the taste. And the same thing with Kli Rishon and Kli Sheni. If I put it in the Kli Rishon, it tastes different. The spices, it makes it taste different than if I put it in a bowl, because that's the way it is. You know, you can do this trick with drinks. Think about it. Like, you have a drink, a cup of whatever, orange juice or something like that, and you drink it. Now, when you finish a cup of orange juice, there's still a little bit left in. If I were to take milk and put that in that cup of orange juice, you would think it's disgusting, right? It would be disgusting. There's a remnant of orange juice. However, that's why you need a clean cup, right? It affects the taste. To have a little bit of orange juice in the same kli, in the same cup, it has a different taste, right? Even a little bit of orange juice, the remainder, even if you can't even taste it, it'll make it repugnant in your eyes, because orange juice doesn't mix good with milk. It makes cheese in your stomach. Uh, but this is the way it works. You know, you have a used cup versus a clean cup. It tastes different. Even if you could extract all the liquids, it tastes different. And that's what the Chazal are telling you, is that fundamentally, if you put spices in a Kli Rishon, that is gourmet food. If you put spices in a Kli Sheni, yes, it'll cook it. But it's like the concept of no sein tam lifgam. You know, no sein tam lifgam is not usher by kasher. It's only not no sein l'shvach. It doesn't produce gourmet food. It produces non-gourmet food. Bishul has to produce the best food possible. When you're producing food, it's cooking it, and it's not producing gourmet food. It's not kol mavashal. I hope you enjoyed today's share. I think it's the truth. See you in the next one.